Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Day's Podcast along with a new video. So I want to say thank you so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. We will definitely be making sure there's free content along with exclusives on Patreon and Spotify. Bear with me, I am working on it. But for now, I want to continue with free content, free episodes, or regular episodes, I should say. And talk more about different topics. So, we're going to continue to talk about music for right now. Who we are going to talk about today is Miley Cyrus. Her third album, Can't Be Tamed. So let's get into it. So Can't Be Tamed is the third studio album by American singer Miley Cyrus. It was released on June 18th, 2010 by Hollywood Records and was her final album with the label. She signed with RCA Records in early 2013. So if this doesn't tell you that she is saying, I'm growing up, I don't know what will. Because she has not been able, in this moment at that time, to really just be able to just, we talked about bangers. So y'all need to go check out my episode for bangers, and then you can, go from there. Because from there, I'm going to talk about, more recent releases, and then we can kind of resonate with her as an adult, and of course, being in her 30s. But for right now, we are talking about, I believe, 18-year-old Miley, damn near. Yeah, going on 18. She was 17 here, but going on 18. So yes, we gonna get into it. Cyrus wrote and began recording the project in late 2009 while traveling internationally for her Wonder World Tour, and completed it in early 2010. Described by Cyrus as a good record to blast in your car, Can't Be Tamed represents a musical departure from her earlier work, which she had grown to feel uninspired by. The efforts resulted in a primarily dance pop record, which Cyrus record label acknowledged differed from the original plans for the project. Its lyrical themes revolve largely around breaking free of constraints and expectations, which are largely mentioned in the context of romantic relationships. Most of the album was produced by Rock Mafia and John Shanks. Cyrus co-wrote 11 out of 12 songs on the album, with the only one not being written by her being a cover of Every Rose Has Its Thorn by American band Poison. So I will say this, we will talk about The Time of Our Lives, because that's its own EP, and I think that has to have a special sense of being talked about too, because that was leading up to this. So from working on The Time of Our Lives, which we will talk about, it was just kind of broadening her in a sense of where, like, okay, I just did the Hannah Montana movie, but I also just actually did another movie. And I don't think that people were really understanding where she was going. I think people were really kind of feeling like, wow, like she's really putting out all this great music, and what, it was used. The last song was used to promote I just said the movie. The EP, The Time of Our Lives, was used to promote the 2010 film, The Last Song, in which, in the midst of that, we have Can't Be Tamed. So, the last song, if I'm not mistaken, came out March 31st, 2010. So, yeah, we will talk about The Time of Our Lives. We may talk about the last song, because we do talk about movies too, child. But I just want to make sure you guys have that sequence in your mind where it's just like, okay, we did talk about Breakout, and what happened from Breakout. She had the Hannah Montana movie soundtrack, which I have not talked about yet either. So The Time of Our Lives and the Hannah Montana movie soundtrack were kind of like in the same year. They were both worked on, and as we're seeing, she's trying to keep two different sides of her, but more or less, the real her and, her money in two different sectors, because, Hannah Montana is a character, and so, yeah. It was something, because as we're getting a Hannah Montana movie soundtrack, we also are getting The Time of Our Lives. And The Time of Our Lives is like, okay, well, this is not Hannah. This is really a Miley Cyrus, EP, like letting us know, like, this would have been an album, but it's half of one. So when you really think about it, I'm not saying Can't Be Tamed and The Time of Our Lives could be forged together, but they were kind of like side by side, but more or less one's giving the other, the next sense of what's going to be going on, But yeah. Let's see here. Can't Be Tamed represents a musical departure from her earlier work, which she had grown to feel uninspired by. The efforts resulted in a primarily dance pop record, That's what I just read here. Yeah. Upon its release, Can't Be Tamed received generally mixed reviews from music critics who were ambivalent toward perceived lack of musical focus and a failure to fully establish Cyrus' maturing public image. Additional criticism was placed on her vocals sounding overprocessed and lacking emotional depth. It was unable to replicate the success of her earlier work, debuting at number 3 on the US 200 with first week sales of 102,000 copies. The album has sold over 350,000 copies in the US. Can't Be Tamed charted moderately on record charts and internationally, reaching the top 10 in countries including Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. 2 singles were released from Can't Be Tamed. Its title track, Can't Be Tamed, was released on May 3rd, 2010. So as the movie already came out for the last song, you get Can't Be Tamed. And you're just like, well, wait a minute. And peaked at number 8 on the Hot 100 and performed moderately worldwide. Who Owns My Heart was released on October 22nd, 2010 as the second single. In Germany, promotional efforts for Can't Be Tamed began to associate Cyrus with an increasingly provocative image, and an effort continued with her 4th studio album, Bangers. The record was primarily promoted through a series of television appearances and Cyrus headlining Gypsy Heart Tour in 2011. So, like I said, as far as with like this album here, it was literally letting us know Bangers was emerging. You know what I mean? Like, this was, the start of where people are going to understand, after this, I'm really going to be an adult. I'm going to give y'all me. Like, I'm giving y'all me. But Bangers, when Bangers came out a few years later, she said, boom, like, I am giving you eras. I am, an era right now that is really going to flourish, and there will be more eras over time that y'all are going to look back and be like, wow, like, she really knows how to entertain. Okay? So yeah. She had said, I want to do my last pop record. I'm working on a record right now. I kind of want this to be my last record for a little while and be able to take a break and just get all types of music that I really love. My favorite styles, because in a few years as I grow up, so will my fans, and I won't have to focus on that as much. And I'll be able to have more of the sound of music that I'm into. So this is what she said in the midst of releasing Can't Be Tamed, and she was right. At that time, people were still looking at her as a young teen, and she said, well, listen, if you give me a couple more years, I'm going to be showing y'all what an adult me is going to be, and we'll continue to kind of, thrive from, okay? But yeah, it says in December 2009, Cyrus announced that she had begun planning her 3rd studio album and intended to begin a musical hiatus after its completion. She expressed concerns that her newer material doesn't truly inspire me and worried that she would be blending in with everyone else. Although she later commented that the final product was inspired by techno music qualities commonly used by recording artist Lady Gaga. Abby Konowich from Cyrus' label Hollywood Records admitted that the record drew more inspiration from dance pop music than she originally intended, but maintained that it feels very comfortable for her and feels very comfortable in terms of the state of contemporary music. The majority of Can't Be Tamed was recorded abroad during Cyrus headlining Wonder World Tour in 2009 and 2010. She collaborated with John Shanks during its production. He frequently traveled to London for the recording sessions and returned to Los Angeles to finalize the material. Cyrus also collaborated with the production team Rock Mafia, consisting of Antonia Armato and Tim James. They notably produced her earlier singles, See You Again and Seven Things, for her first and second albums, Meet Miley Cyrus 2007 and Breakout 2008, respectively. Cyrus stated that Can't Be Tamed contained a variety of dance beats and syncs, but believed that its sound was secondary to the personal lyrics therein. So yeah, she wanted to make sure that she gave us more pop, more experimental, I should say, music that, you know, would be able to tear off into something that she would want to do, because at the time it was very clean. And I don't think she wanted to be as squeaky clean as opposed to what she was already trying to break away into, you know. But yeah, let's get into the track. Well, actually, no, let's look at the chart performance. In the United States, Can't Be Tamed debuted at number 3. In the US 200, its first week sales of 102,000 copies, behind the 741,000 copies and 447,000 copies moved by Recovery by Eminem and Thank Me Later by Drake, respectively. So she was battling Recovery by Eminem and Thank Me Later by Drake in this time. So she went number 3. It's just that she had Eminem and Drake that were like right there. So don't, you know, I'd be trying to tell people about chart placements. Sometimes, you know, the peak of when you try to release or promotion or anything like that, it all details based on what's going on and who's doing what. So just know, definitely read into things. The record was viewed as a commercial disappointment in the country, given that Cyrus' second studio album, Breakout, debuted at number 1 on the chart with its first week sales of 371,000 copies. As of January 2014, the album has moved 350,000 copies in the US. Can't Be Tamed reached number 2 on the Canadian albums chart and peaked at number 10 on Top 100 Mexico. So let's look at the track list. Track 1 is Liberty Walk. Track 2 is Who Owns My Heart. Track 3 is Can't Be Tamed. Track 4 is Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Track 5 is Two More Lonely People. I actually like that song. It's actually underrated. Forgiveness and Love is track 6. Track 7, Permanent December. Now, Permanent December, and now that I'm looking at the fact that, yeah, John Shanks did, you know, be part of that song, I love that song. I don't know what it is, but I love, like, not even that I know what it is, but you know how when you kind of hear, you know, a similarity to something. So let me look at something real quick, guys. So this is like a live thing I'm doing right now. We are going to dip back a little bit. I need to see something as far as when it comes to, where is it? So I need to see the Meet Miley Cyrus, and I need to see Breakout again. So we are dipping back. I don't often do this, so I want to make sure I am getting, you know, facts going on. So I want to see something. So he must have, okay, so was John Shanks the one that wrote Seven Things? No, it was Antonia Armato that wrote Seven Things. So, okay. So he must have wrote, yeah, no, he didn't write that. So I wonder where he wrote. All I know is this. He must have been on, yeah, he must have been on Breakout then. Listen, not even to get myself out of the loop of what I was saying with y'all with Permanent December. I almost said perfect, but Permanent December is that girl. I'm sorry. Y'all gotta listen to Permanent December. If anything, Permanent December really lets you know bangers is coming. Like, Permanent December was like, cause baby, I realized that I was wrong, and oh my god, like, they may feel as though she may have not like grown yet into an era to say that she's standing out, but no. Permanent December, let me get through the rest, because that's not one of the songs that I felt like she was already just kind of branching out. But Stay is track 8, which is a good one. Scars, track 9 is a good one. Now Take Me Along, track 10. Take Me Along is that girl too. That's very underrated. She says, I don't understand why you can't take me with you. Like she tells you directly, like, why are you leaving me? Like, how without you I can't breathe. Please don't leave me here. Like cute. She's just, her innocence in this album and even previous albums, you can tell was just coming to a close. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like, I'm saying, like, when I look back at this now and being a couple years younger than her, and she's, going on 32, but it's just like, at that time, now that I'm looking back, I'm just like, wow, like, I was 16. Like, just a time. It was a time. It's just, 2010. I had to look at the date, and I'm like, I'm not saying that I don't know how old I was at that time, but I know I was a teenager, and now that I look at that, I'm like, that was my 16th year, 2010. Yeah, like, that was 16 for me. But track 11 was Robot, and track 12 was My Heart Beats for Love, which is a good song too. But yeah, Can't Be Tamed had remixes. The Japanese and UK version, the bonus DVD, she had the making of Can't Be Tamed. She had Fly on the Wall and Start All Over from live when she was performing them. The Can't Be Tamed music video, and then Who Owns My Heart music video. So she was still trying to tie in the sake of her previous work along with this album, which I don't blame her. And even from just everything that she's done as a whole, just people and her fans that have known her just be able to hear all that, and it really helped. And as far as Live from London, Miley Cyrus Live from London, that's the first video album that she came out with. It was released as a deluxe version to Can't Be Tamed. It's over 100. It's 120 minutes, so it's 2 hours long. The project was exclusively produced by her mom and her manager. It was directed by Russell Thomas and produced by Jim Parsons. It aired on ABC. Airing on ABC was a filtered version of the full-length concert, which became available on the limited deluxe edition of Can't Be Tamed, released on June 18th, 2010. The deluxe edition featured the audio CD containing the album's music and a DVD which contains 19 live performances and behind-the-scenes footage with Cyrus. We anticipate an over-indexing, if you will, of those who buy the CD/DVD over just the music, because it's never been seen before. That's what was told by a general manager at Hollywood Records. So from her signing with RCA soon later, it was just evident that she was pretty much going to be done with Disney. She said, I'm out of here. I'm 18, so it's not so much I'm a child star anymore. I could be on here and continue to do Hannah Montana, but kids are kids, and the kids that grew up with me, they're kind of adults now, and I'm kind of one of them included. Like, I just, after a while and seeing her being bangers, I'm just like, you know what? We are 19, 20 something going on, right? Like, we grown, yeah. Okay, shoot. But yes, guys, if anything, this was just her letting us know that she's an adult. She's growing up. But I thank you guys for listening and watching, and I'll be back